Hey there, Leo. Welcome to your reading for this time next year. You have this spiritual transformation card and this enlightenment card. Your first row is going to represent messages you need to hear before this time next year. All these ideas for all the rows in this reading came from all of you. So I did a post a few weeks ago asking for suggestions, and so these are all your ideas. So there you go. If you hate it, it's your fault, right? But you have the Ten of Pentacles, the High Priestess, and the Four of Wands. This is like really making it happen energy is kind of what I get here. Ten of Pentacles is everything you want and desire in your life. The Four of Wands, of course, can be marriage, but the Four of Wands can also just represent a commitment. And I feel like you need to make your commitment to the Ten of Pentacles, which is not Ten of Pentacles is not a small life, right? Ten of Pentacles is a big life. It is like really making it happen and kind of like exceeding your own expectations in life and really getting the most out of life. And that is kind of, what I feel you need to create here, Leo, is an exceptional life. Something I always say that the Ten of Pentacles is a worthy goal in life because it's kind of like everything you want and desire, but it forms a tree life, but it's kind of that exceptional life. It's like if everything went 100% according to plan and everything was perfect, what would that look like? And, of course, that's not necessarily realistic. Things will always happen in life, but what if it could be perfect, Leo? That's the question I would be asking yourself with the Ten of Pentacles. And it's not saying that it ever will be perfect, but it's about trying to get as close to this as you possibly can. And so, like I said, I think it is a worthy goal. Something that is great to do is to work towards this. And that's what I would be working on with the Ten of Pentacles. Ten of Pentacles is also great for love. Your last row is going to represent love. I feel like you question love. I don't know. We'll look into it in a second with that card. You have the High Priestess. Yes, definitely needing to trust your intuition. Pretty much everyone has had something about intuition. One thing I will say about this time next year is that there seems to be more, like still the same level of uncertainty in the energy a little bit. And I actually don't think it's as bad as what we have been dealing with. I think things are getting better. But I really do feel the universe is saying, like, are you going to look to someone else for answers? Or are you going to answer your own damn questions, Leo, right? This is the trick with Neptune and Aries. Neptune is in Aries right now, but it's going to retrograde into Pisces. On January 26th, Neptune moves back to Aries. Neptune in Aries is like looking for a savior. It is like thinking that there is a problem or a solution that exists that can solve all your problems. And the spiritual lesson of Neptune and Aries is to solve your own problems, right? And to listen to yourself and have your own answers. And I always say that, my problem with Neptune and Aries, it's like we're going to see like new cults are going to be created probably during Neptune and Aries because people are going to be looking for that savior. But really the trick is to save yourself, right? And so I feel that on the High Priestess. I feel like she is kind of saying to you, Leo, you don't need anyone's answers. You just need your own answers. That's it. And no one can tell you something that you don't already know, really. That is the secret to the High Priestess, is that really and that's it. Sometimes with the High Priestess, I feel like there might be some truths that we don't want to face. She has this curtain or this tapestry behind her. And I always say the High Priestess is a card of looking behind the curtain, needing to see how the sausage is made, right? So sometimes the High Priestess can say that we are feeling intuitively pulled in a direction, but we also know that there are some things that we don't want to see that go into being successful. And this isn't really like a bad thing, but it's like, if you want a relationship, for example, it's like you might want a relationship, but also maybe at the same time, maybe you don't want someone in your personal space. It's like, obviously those two things are going to clash, right? And so the High Priestess is about looking at both things, looking at the good parts, but also looking at maybe some of the things that you don't like about what you have to do. And you have two choices. You can suck it up and deal with it, right? Number one. Number two, you can find someone, like if it's a person, for example, you can find a person, maybe that's your sign, right? Is like finding a person who you don't mind if they are in your personal space. Or if this is like work related or business related, there might be certain things where it's like, that you could be more successful, but maybe there are certain things that you don't want to do that you would have to do to be more successful. And the high priestess would say, well, you need to look at those things and think to yourself, how can I make this something that I do want to do? Right? I see this a lot in business where it's like people do things and I'm like, why are you doing that? And they're like, oh, because this is how you have to be successful in this business. But when you actually like do your research, you actually, number one, don't have to do it, or number two, it's like there are other ways of doing it that would be better. I see this a lot. And I'm always like, you're forcing yourself to do something you don't want to do because you think it's going to make you successful. And maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but there might be a better way. So instead of suffering, like I'm getting this thing about like not needing to suffer with the high priestess. Like I feel like she is saying, if you peek behind the curtain, you don't have to suffer. There are things you can do. You could be in a relationship where you're together but separate, right? Maybe you are together with a person but you have your own homes, right? That is a solution. So, and I'm sure there are plenty of people that would be perfectly happy to be with you in that situation, right? Because that's what they want. So I don't know. I'm getting all these crazy ass messages on this card, but there you go. You have the Four Wands. Yeah, sure, it could be marriage, but I really feel this is more your commitment to your vision is what this card is asking you to do. So I feel you need to commit to your Ten of Pentacles vision, even if you feel like you're too old or too young, or even if you feel like there are some limitations that you have. There probably are, but I really feel this reading is saying, do it anyway. It's kind of like saying, feel the fear and do it anyway, whatever you're thinking about doing here, Leo. And I feel like you will be very happy that you did with the Ten of Pentacles showing up in your reading. So let's see where this is going. With the Ten of Pentacles, you have the Ten of Wands. Ten of Wands is needing to see the forest through the trees. We kind of said this basically with the High Priestess. This guy here is carrying too many burdens. He's very close to having a harvest. Really, I look at this card as a good card because he has planted those wands. Those wands are his harvest, and he's about to reach his home. So he's very close to his goal. But at the same time, maybe on his journey, he might have picked up some wands or some burdens that weren't his. So he needs to make sure that he's only doing what is required of him and not other people, like not picking up other people's responsibilities so he can see more clearly. And I do feel the Ten of Wands is asking you to like look at what you are taking responsibility for and say, is this me? Like, is this my responsibility or is it someone else's? And if it's not yours, I would release it so that you can see more clearly. With the High Priestess, you have the Queen of Wands. Yeah, Queen of Wands doesn't care what anyone thinks, which is kind of what I said also on the High Priestess. She has this black cat right here, and during the times of tarot, black cats were considered unlucky. The whole point of the card is that she is, that she doesn't care what people think. She just likes a black cat. So again, there might be certain rules or certain ideas that you're saying are a rule that you're putting on yourself. But really, I think what this is like society. It's like sometimes I think we allow society to say, this is how this thing works. And you have to follow these rules. But like, why? Who says? Is it the law? Probably not. So I feel like the Queen of Wands is saying that, don't be afraid to be a little bit of a rebel. Don't be afraid to be a little bit of a rule breaker between this time and next year, because that will lead to the most success. With the Four of Wands, you have the Three of Swords here. A lot of healing cards, like pretty much every sign. I only have one more reading to do in this set of readings, and pretty much every sign has had something about healing in the first row. So if you do want love, Three of Swords is a great card for forgiving the past, healing from the past. And again, this first row is between now and this time next year. So if you want love by this time next year, I would definitely work on forgiveness, healing, letting things go. All that other good stuff will probably help you the most. Next, we're going to look at the big money shifts in career or finance that could be happening for you. You have this community card and this fork in the road card. Yes, definitely moving in different directions here, Leo. I wouldn't say, I don't necessarily think Leo has to, quit their job, for example. That's not what I feel for fire signs. Fire signs are very different than everyone else. All the other signs, it seems to me like some of, I'm not saying let's say you're a Leo rising and you're watching this reading, I'm not saying that you're going to quit your job, but, other signs seem more likely to be, finding something new. For fire, it seems more like an upgrade, which I've definitely said to you before. So a lot of you could be upgrading your career. or your business or your job, or you could, it's like you're doing the same thing, but you might just be exploring new directions with that fork in the road card. And I feel that would be great for you. I also think community would be amazing for you. Of course, your opposite sign is Aquarius. We have Pluto and Aquarius. Pluto and Aquarius is anything that benefits the collective will benefit you. So I would say that, working in your community, forming a community, any of that stuff will be extra beneficial as far as your finances are concerned. Even if you're retired, right? You could be like joining a community of people who are retired. Maybe they have good ideas for your finances. Like I would be doing all of those things with these cards. You have the Hermit, the Ace of Swords, and the Nine of Pentacles. I kind of feel like another level for you here. Maybe you feel like you've been in Hermit mode. I feel like Leos maybe feel that they haven't been getting the attention that they deserve, which I feel is partially true, for sure. But it's kind of like your time to shine again, is what I feel with the Hermit. But the Hermit has his inner light inside this lantern, and he needs to open that lantern and shine it out into the world. But he's kind of like staying in isolation. It's like sometimes we get hurt in life, and I feel we go into isolation. Then it's very tempting to stay in isolation because you are kind of like protected. You don't have to take any risks, or, you don't have to face criticism again. And I feel like that's what I feel on the Hermit. I feel like the Hermit is saying, people are going to criticize you no matter what. People are going to do you dirty in life no matter what. But it's like you can either, deal with it or stay in isolation, which is not a good option here. So I feel this part of the reading is kind of saying it's your time to shine again, but you have to. You have to put your ideas out into the world, take risks. You have to start things and, all that other good stuff with the Hermit. You have the Ace of Swords. You have two aces. Everybody has had multiple aces in this set of readings, which is crazy. I switch decks between every single reading, and so it's kind of weird to me that the aces just keep coming up. Like sometimes, like I even ask myself, am I using the same deck? Like is the card sticking in the same position or whatever? But like I said, I have this deck I've been using, this deck right here, so I have multiple decks here. And the cards aren't sticking, right? So it's pretty interesting. Definitely could be a lot of new beginnings. I think it's because we're being pushed in new directions. I think we've never had a time in history in our lives where so many major planets are switching signs at basically the same time. Pluto switched signs. Uranus is going to switch signs. Saturn, Neptune. All these major planets are changing signs. So it kind of makes sense to me that everybody is getting all these aces. Even though Pluto changed signs last year, and Neptune is this year, and although technically next year, January 26th, it officially moves into Aries, it doesn't really matter. I think that it's happening very close together. So a lot of us are being pushed towards like a new focus. The Ace of Swords is a laser-like focus. So I feel a lot of you Leo people could be being pushed in a new direction or a new focus, like you're focusing in on something. Like I said, I don't think you're necessarily quitting your job or, quitting your business, but you could be, refocusing what you're doing. And that is probably going to bring you a victory because the Ace of Swords represents a victory coming in for you. Love it. You have the Nine of Pentacles. Yes, I love this even more because we go from Nine of Pentacles up to the Empress. Nine of Pentacles is pre-Empress energy, and a lot of you could really be having like a little bit, I wouldn't like say this is like a total glow up type reading, but it feels more like you shining bright or you stepping into your inner light with that Hermit card. And that could definitely be increasing your finances with the Nine of Pentacles. Nine of Pentacles is gratitude and luxuries. It's like having the nicer things in life. It's also a card of focus. She has this falcon right here, and it represents the fact that she is training her focus. So what you focus on is what you will receive. I would make sure that you are focusing on the good stuff here, Leo, not the bad stuff. You cannot make this up. With the Hermit, you have the star. The Hermit has the star in his lantern. Right here. That is the star that he has right inside that lantern. The star says it's your time to shine. It's your time to stand out and get attention. So I definitely feel that for you, Leo. I wouldn't overcomplicate things too much. I would stay focused. There are these 7 stars. These are the 7 stars of the Pleiades on the star card. This isn't accurate tarot, but according to Chris's Crappy Tarot here, I feel that the star says focus on the one star. Focus on the big picture, the one thing. Don't worry about all these little things that are going on. It's like, the reading itself is saying to me that it's time for you to play big, not small, right? And which is interesting because other signs have had messages about really focusing on the details. I think your reading is the opposite. I feel like your reading is saying you need to focus on the big picture. The star is about getting a big picture. We have this bird right here, the ibis. The ibis is the bird of knowledge and wisdom, and the bird on the star card says you need to zoom out. You need to get a bird's eye view of everything you're doing in your life and kind of build that, mental map of where you're going. And that's what I would do. With the Ace of Swords, you have the High Priestess again, so definitely needing to... Your intuition is guiding you is basically what this says. Your intuition is pushing you in a direction. Your intuition is pushing you towards something bigger and better, and I would just follow your intuition, plain and simple. With the Nine of Pentacles, you have the Knight of Swords. Yeah, no rushing as usual with you, Leo. I would be careful who you listen to with the Nine of Swords. I'm pretty sure I've been saying this to you a lot lately. Knight of Swords, is a card of a person who's like rushing in, like freaking out, telling you something that isn't true. And it's not that they're a bad person; they just might not know. So again, I would be careful of any of those messages that come in from people where they're like freaking out about something or panicking about something that might not be true. And yeah, I would just be careful of that with this card for sure. Next, we're going to look at what you need to hear right now, as well as any challenges that could come up for you at this time next year. You have this Rose's Kiss card and this Tall Tale card. Again, with the Knight of Swords, I would be careful of any tall tales that people are telling you. People could be telling you things to throw you off. Kind of the funny thing that I'm getting here, Leo, as well, is that it might be a good time to keep things to yourself, right? Or to not tell people what your next move is with that tall tale card. Normally, that tall tale card is about telling a tall tale, but that's not really what I'm getting here. I'm getting it's more saying to me that you need to keep things to yourself or, whatever, right? So I would do that. The Rose's Kiss card is kind of like about a skill that you have or something that makes you special. And you have the Ace of Pentacles as your first card here. So the Ace of Pentacles is like a big opportunity or an opportunity that's coming in for you. So there could be like a better opportunity coming in that is based off the skills that you have or based off of what you are already good at. And I would really look into that with the Ace of Pentacles, because the Ace of Pentacles says you can use your skills for more success, or you can use your skills to, grow more in life. And, that's really what I would be doing with this Ace of Pentacles energy. Also, coming up right next to the Empress, the Ace of Pentacles has to be nurtured into existence. And if you are getting any like big opportunities, I would really nurture those opportunities and care for them, because the more you take care of them, the better of a result you're going to get. You have the Page of Swords. A lot of people have been getting the Page of Swords, and it kind of makes sense because of Pluto and Aquarius. Pluto and Aquarius is very innovative. I feel Page of Swords is saying that we have to be very curious about any innovative, unique, or different ideas that we have in life. So if you're coming up with like unique plans or goals or wishes or ideas or dreams, I would really be like digging into those things, because your curiosity could be guiding you with the Page of Swords. I am also getting love here, Leo, so I'm not sure who's spying on who here, but for some of you, it's like someone could be spying on you or have already seen you, or you have already seen a person. And so, I don't know. I don't even know what to say about that. It's not like giving me anything other than, you have your eye on a person or they have their eye on you. So if you want love, there probably is love coming in. You have the Three of Cups. Three of Cups is about working with the right people. I just said to Aries, I think Leo has had all fire signs, I think, have had a hard time working with people, mostly because, you've had some energy that I feel would represent people kind of like taking advantage of you or doing you dirty or whatever. I feel the problem for Leo is like thinking that people think like you, right? It like thinking that you do things the right way, so you think that other people are going to do things the right way, and that has probably gotten you into trouble. The good news is that the Three of Cups is three people celebrating a harvest. I feel like you have learned to focus on like concentrated connections. I look at the Three of Cups as those really important connections in your life. And maybe that's what you're realizing, is that you don't need a bunch of people in your life. You just need those few people that really support your vision and support what you're doing. And spending time mostly with those people is actually the thing that's going to make you successful. And so I would just keep doing that for sure with the Three of Cups. I do also feel you could be celebrating a harvest. I mean, you have great harvest cards: Nine of Pentacles, Ace of Pentacles, Empress, Three of Cups. Definitely could be some sort of financial harvest. With the Ace of Pentacles, you have the King of Swords. King of Swords is a card of knowledge and wisdom. I kind of feel that with the Hermit. I know I've said this to you before in the past, Leo, that sometimes I feel like the Hermit has to teach. And I've said this to you, that it's almost like you are becoming a teacher, but he doesn't teach by sitting people down in a classroom and being like, this is what you have to do. He teaches through example. The Star is about teaching through being an inspiration. The King of Swords says you have a lot of knowledge and wisdom, but maybe you're not using it in the right way. I don't really feel this is like bad or a challenge necessarily, but I just think there are ways that you could kind of be a guide or a mentor to other people or a teacher through doing, not through really teaching, but by doing things. And it's almost like saying that you need to use those skills to make things happen. I feel like you need to stop beating yourself up here, Leo, as well. Just like I feel this more intuitively. I think Leos have had a lot of failure in the past, maybe more than other signs. And I feel like you need to look at those failures as teachers as well. They taught you something that is now going to benefit you. And maybe that mindset shift will really help you be more successful. With the Page of Swords, you have the Page of Wands. If you're curious about something, move towards it. Page of Wands is the card. The Page of Wands does things, but he doesn't really have a good reason. He's just optimistic and enthusiastic about his direction. So he doesn't really have a good reason for doing the things he's doing in life. He just wants to. That's it. And, that kind of is the Page of Swords. The Page of Swords is just curious about a direction in life, and so he moves in that direction. He doesn't really have a good reason to do it. And I kind of feel that for you, Leo, where it's like you could be doing things or making choices by this time next year, where it's like maybe you can't really explain like why you are doing something other than it just feels right or it makes you feel happy. And I feel that would be a great place for you to be. That is the Queen of Wands. She has that sunflower pointing towards the sun. With the Three of Cups, you have the Lovers. Yeah, could be love. If you already have love in your life, like this could be your partner supporting you more or helping you do things more. This could also say that love will be a change that happens in your life. Love, I think sometimes when it's right, can have a bigger impact than just being a relationship. When you find the right person, it can change your life. And that's kind of more the feeling I get here with the Lovers. I also feel like there is a choice that you're making. Lovers traditionally was a card called the Choice, and it was about making a decision. And the easy decision with the Lovers is to pick the new path or to pick the new choice. So if you have any choices that you're making, which kind of makes sense with the Ace of Swords, then I would pick the new path. The Ace of Swords, sometimes we have to cut one thing out of our life to have something better. So I feel that some of you could be doing that. Next, in the area of love in relationships, you have this Shadow Work card and this Watch for Signs card. So definitely working on yourself would be great if you want to have a positive relationship between now and this time next year. I would be doing all that work on yourself. The Watch for Signs card is I think there will be signs, clearly, that, love is coming in for you. It could be a butterfly. Literally, you could see a butterfly land on a person or something like that, right? Or you could meet a person, somewhere that's called Butterfly. I don't know. It's popping into my head. But, I think that a lot of you are getting signs that love could be coming in for you. Even if you don't want love, this could just be your connections. And, there could be there is a transformation. I wouldn't even say there could be because, like I said, I think you have learned a lot of lessons with people. So you're probably transforming the type of person that you're willing to allow into your life. And, of course, that is going to be a good thing with these two cards. You have the Empress, the Five of Cups, and the Five of Swords. Empress says you're very attractive at this time, Leo. So if you want love, clearly the whole entire reading is saying you have to shine with that Star card. You have to step into the light. And so if you want love, you're obviously going to have to get attention. But the Empress is a great card for love. It says it doesn't matter what gender you are, just says you're very attractive. Empress is also great for abundance, and I do feel that there is some sort of connection between, the people you surround yourself with and your abundance. It's like when you surround yourself with the right people, you will be more abundant. When you don't, you won't. So I would make sure that you're doing that. The other thing I'm getting here is, the Empress is all about ease. All she has to do is wave that scepter in front of her, and the wheat will grow. So this could say that if you have a business or career and you're working together with people, that you need to make sure that the people that are coming in are people who make your job easier, not harder and more complicated. And maybe that's what you have to focus on. You have the Five of Cups, which could represent, some disappointments in past connections. But again, the Five of Cups has a very easy solution. He has to let go of what no longer serves him. He needs to see these two cups, then he gets the bridge and the castle. So he might have regrets over past relationships, but, he's grieving the loss of something that he no longer enjoys. The whole point of the card is that he's lost his taste for wine, and he's sad because he no longer enjoys it. And so the Five of Cups can say you are grieving the loss of a person or a situation that you don't even like anymore, and you wouldn't even want it anymore, but you could still be sad about it. So it kind of says we have to let go of those things. You have the Five of Swords. Five of Swords can represent taking a risk. You always get the Five of Swords with me, Leo, in the last row, which I don't even know how that's possible, but it could be like some sort of risk you have to take in a relationship or to have a connection. So don't be afraid of taking those risks. I do feel a lot of you are kind of like looking back on, connections that have walked away from you, not just love. Mostly, I actually think that this Five of Swords is mostly talking about work, like people that you've worked with that did you dirty or whatever. And, that could be a good thing for you to heal at this time. With the Empress, you have the Justice card here. Justice is balance. Justice is cause and effect. A lot of Justice cards coming up in this set of readings as well. So for relationships, Justice says, don't pay attention to words, pay attention to actions. And as long as you do that, Justice really says, take a neutral perspective on any relationships that enter your life, and look at the evidence. Don't just take people at their word. And as long as you do that, things will be fine. With the Five of Cups, you have the Seven of Cups. It's like I get like a little bit of a jaded feeling here, Leo, for relationships with the Five of Cups and the Seven of Cups. It's kind of like, maybe you thought you had the dream with a person before, like in love, and maybe they did you dirty, or it's like, when you see the ugliness in something is like the best way I can put it. I kind of feel like this is saying don't give up on your dream in love. It's like maybe you have this romantic idea about love, and maybe you're kind of like starting to believe that it's not true. But at the same time, I feel like this is saying, well, it's like maybe, we're all kind of looking for something that doesn't exist anyway. But, it's like, are you really going to find that prince or princess charming? Like, maybe not, but you could probably get pretty close. I feel like it's saying don't give up. With the Five of Swords, you have the Eight of Swords. Eight of Swords is about only seeing one way of doing things when there are many. The Eight of Swords wants us to kind of like open up to all ways of doing things and other ways of doing things. And if we do that, we will be successful. Next, you have this July card, and this pig card. It says, beware of greed. Yes, between now and the month of July, probably 2025, I would be careful of greedy people or past people that you worked with that were greedy. I would just avoid those people at all cost. You have this angel card. It says spiritual guidance, protection from harm. Yeah, you are protected. Ten of Pentacles says, what would your life look like if everything were perfect? And that's how you need to act. I feel this is saying, you might be worried about things that could go wrong, might go wrong. And sure, that those things could always happen, but what would it look like if they didn't happen? And I feel that's how you need to like operate. You have this arrow card that says you're on the right path regarding some aspect of your life. Didn't we say something about focus? I think we did. The arrow is pointing in one direction. And I'm pretty sure we were talking about focus on the Nine of Pentacles and the Ace of Swords and the Star card. So it's like picking one thing between now and this time next year, I think will have you accomplishing something big between now and this time next year. So that's really what I would be focusing on with this card. You have this unicorn that says, use your intuition to make beneficial changes. High Priestess, showing up in your reading. I think using your intuition is kind of your secret superpower. I always say that Leos are like the most underrated zodiac, for intuition. It's like everybody thinks Pisces is very intuitive, but I think Leos are kind of like an underrated intuitive. So I would be trusting that intuition. You have this wind chimes card that says peace and harmony. This is probably, I think Leos, of course, naturally are drawn towards peace and harmony. It's funny, you have the justice card. Justice is Libra. Libra is like the sign of peace. So I feel that a lot of you are very focused on creating more peace, freedom, harmony, freedom with the Four of Wands, freedom to live your life as you want, but also like kind of creating a certain level of comfort in your life also comes up with this card as well. So this looks pretty good, Leo. I like it. So thank you for being here, and definitely enjoy this time next year.